So hello everybody and welcome to this very special broadcast that we are recording live on August 4th, 2020 in the spirit of a topic that is so incredibly near and dear to my heart, which is entering into the heart of creation. And I'm Sara Landon. If you're new to me and my work with the council, I want to welcome you and I want to introduce you to not only one of my dear friends and wonderful teammates at saralandon.com, but the amazing Sara Elizabeth, who will be co-hosting with me today and helping to facilitate this call. So Sara Elizabeth, hello and welcome.
Hi, Sara. So happy to be here. Hello, everybody. We're glad you're here to join us. It's sure to be an exciting call, and the council always brings in the most amazing things. So I'm eager to see what they have to say too.
Awesome. So first and foremost, we're going to have a great time tonight. I truly believe that all of this incredible spiritual wisdom, the grander perspective that comes through these teachings, the incredible levels of consciousness that are reached in these times together, none of it really matters if you can't apply it in your life in a way that is consumable, in a way that brings you greater joy, greater peace, greater happiness, greater well-being and abundance. It's all about integrating this incredible wisdom into your life, as well as preparing you for what is coming so that we can elevate our awareness and our consciousness to really see our life from a grander perspective and a grander viewpoint. If you're new to my work with the council, or maybe you are new to channeling altogether, I first and foremost want to demystify it in any and every way. This is a really beautiful natural experience that is about raising your vibration. When we raise our vibration, we can raise our level of consciousness and awareness, and we can begin to see things through a new perspective. It is our perception of anything and everything that is helping to create our reality. And when we elevate our awareness of what else is possible, we truly remember that we have the ability to choose our creation, to choose how we want to live our lives, to choose the experiences that we want to have. And maybe most importantly to many of us, choosing intentionally how we express ourselves, how we express ourselves creatively. And so this topic of entering into the heart of creation, to me, it is about going beyond limitation, going beyond separation, going beyond the struggle into remembering your highest potential and that anything and everything really is possible for you. It is also about going beyond maybe how we used to create our lives in the past. The council tells us that most everything we have ever created was still based in some level of lack or limitation. Being in a place where we were in the unwanted, not aligned with what it is that we wanted to create more of. And from that place, we set out to alleviate the lack or limitation and created from this place that maybe has maybe not been aligned to our true power or what's really possible for us. And so as we enter into the heart of true creation here today in this conversation, we do so in preparation for our new course, Merging Heaven and Earth, Going Beyond Limitation into the Heart of True Creation, which we are launching, which is a live 6-week channeled course plus integration and Q&A. And we wanted to share with you a little bit more about that course, but we really wanted to share with you so much about the heart of creation and some of the things that probably guided you to join this call today, which is talking about preparing for the new energies that are coming in, preparing yourself for really taking your life to the next level and remembering the power within you. And so today we are going to have a wonderful discussion about going beyond limitation into the heart of creation. We're going to give you a little bit of a preview of our new course, Merging Heaven on Earth, which begins August 11th. And then we're going to bring in the council for a channeled message and some live Q&A with all of you. if you are new to the council, you are in for an incredible magical treat. And I will actually invite Sarah Elizabeth in a moment to share a bit more about her experience with the council. But it is this incredible love and higher level consciousness, a collective of awareness that has a much grander perspective of this human experience, that comes forth with absolute, infinite, unwavering love for you to help you remember who you really are and why you are here and what you intended when you chose this life experience. And so we'll talk a little bit more about the council as we prepare to bring them in. But I just want to give you a moment to all get the opportunity to meet my dear friend, Sarah Elizabeth, and maybe she can just briefly explain how she came about this incredible wisdom of the council and what it has meant in her life, and maybe any intentions that you have for today's call.
Absolutely. My goodness. First of all, intentions for today's call and for life, for me, is always to play and have fun, because I really feel like that's what this is about. And it's actually one of the things the council has been talking about a lot more since they began talking to us about the heart of creation about mid-May. And so how do I even say, I came to the council because they found me. I wasn't looking for them. I wasn't looking for anything more. I certainly was on a spiritual path, if you want to call it that. I had found so much that was so satisfying. And you talked a little bit, Sarah, about, taking your life to the next level. I truly had taken my life to the next level, and I was deeply satisfied and didn't know there was anything else that would make it even more. Didn't really honestly care, because I was happy. And along you came just by chance into my experience. And it was one of those things where I've had other similar teachers, and this is similar but not the same. This is a unique vocabulary, a unique purpose, a unique intention, which I really think is this preparation for moving into realization, which is, from my perspective, really the same as existing from the heart of creation, being the realized master that we all are, remembering who we truly are and what our power is. And so it's just taken my life to another level, so to speak. And I know that phrase gets used a lot. And when you said it, it came to my mind that I'd like to let the audience know a little bit about you and how you are uniquely, from my experience and my perspective, you are uniquely someone who is so committed to being the student of the wisdom that flows through you. And I think that is beyond incredible. You make it your commitment to live these teachings and to experience it in your own life, which makes you such an incredible guide to greater human potential. And so while people can throw around phrases like take your life to a new level, you said it really well when you said, it really doesn't matter how much knowledge you acquire if you can't truly apply it in your life and you don't have a community to play off of and to enjoy that experience of expansion with. So I hope I've answered your question.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for that. I really do believe that the council is here to help us remember that we are everything we wish to be. We already are. It is all within you, and it always has been. And yet we come into this human experience and we learn a lot of lack, and we learn a lot of limitation. And we hold ourselves in these belief systems and these ways of doing things, this constant need to do more and work harder and be enough. And like you, Sarah Elizabeth, when the council came to me, I have to say, I was living what I thought was the seemingly perfect life. I thought I was doing all the right things. I had gotten the education, I had gotten a good job, I had done what I thought we were supposed to do in order to be happy. And yet there was still something missing. There was something more. And I had studied with many different incredible personal development teachers. I'd studied with many different spiritual teachers. And yet there was this still underlying question that I had. How do we really live our highest potential? And how do we live our highest potential if we don't even know what our highest potential really is? If we don't really know who we are and we don't really know why we're here, then how can we live our highest potential? And in my quest to find the answers to those questions, the last thing I ever would have imagined is that those questions would be answered through me, that I would be able to tap into this level of consciousness that would come through me and bring forth the greatest wisdom that I had ever experienced in my life. And in applying it in my life, it changed my life. And one of the council's teachings is do what you love, do what brings you absolute joy, do what you would do every day, whether you got paid for it or not. And that is how I felt about this wisdom that I was at that point in time channeling, loved it. It was changing my life, but never would have dreamed my life would be where it is now. And thank you for your comments about being a student of the wisdom, because that was really the most important thing to me, is that I take this incredible wisdom and not only integrate it in my life, but share with others and guide others of how they too can do the same. And that really is my greatest joy. And doing calls like this is my absolute joy. The work we do is not work because it is so joyful, and we get to come together with extraordinary people all over the world like you. So this work is about mastery. It is about coming into your mastery to remember that you already are a realized master. You came from higher consciousness. That is who you are. You focused yourself into the physical form to be on the planet at this time. And the council would say, you didn't come here to save a broken world. You didn't come here to right some karmic wrong from the past. You didn't come here because you hadn't learned enough or done enough in your past life. You came here of your own choosing to be part of the greatest transformation of consciousness that is happening on this planet at this time. And for most all of you who are listening to this, you can probably relate to the fact that somewhere about 10 years ago, let's just call it 2007, 2008, your life probably began to change in some really unconceivable ways. Most everybody that comes to this work tells me around 2006, around 2007, around 2008, they were experiencing the same thing I was experiencing when my seemingly perfect life began to unravel. And everything that I thought was me, I realized wasn't me. That there was more to me, and I didn't know what that more was. And I knew I had some greater calling in this life, but I didn't know what that was either. And it started a journey for me to answer these questions. And I know now that for all of us that were going through that experience, you were going through your own awakening experience. You were going on your own journey through awakening to the truth of who you really are. And many of us have now come to this point where we are seeing our loved ones. We are seeing those people around us in our families, our friends, our communities, especially now going through the awakening experience that most all of us went through about 10 years ago in advance of this great awakening that is happening on our planet at this time. The job you thought was who you are, the business, the school, the relationship, the activities, the money, it's not who you are. There's so much more to you. And when you really begin to awaken to that, you begin to elevate your consciousness and awareness into a place where so much more is possible for you. However, I thought I could just take with me the old ways of doing and pushing and making things happen and trying to push energy into what I thought it should be and when I thought it should be. And like probably many of you, I then got into understanding the law of attraction, that we can focus on something that we want and we can manifest those things. But not too long after, I would return to this state of feeling sort of unfulfilled by those things. And even feeling like I had more chaos and in my life after creating or manifesting those things. And I knew that there was more to manifestation and creation than what I had experienced before. So in understanding that at a greater level, it brought me into true mastery, these conversations about mastery and what is mastery. And what we are going through right now is a time of fully stepping into our realization. That is an experience beyond awakening. You're awake. You know that you are a spiritual being having a human experience. You know on some level that you are a soul, that you come from some greater light than this sometimes difficult place that we experience in the density of being human or in form. You know there's something more to you. And now you're being really invited into realization. This time right now is bringing us into realization. And there is nothing more important than you fully stepping into the realization of all that you are, to come into truly knowing yourself as the master that you are of your human experience. So then you can live like a master. That doesn't mean, in fact, being in your mastery doesn't mean that anyone else has to recognize that you're a master. What they might say about you is, when I'm around him, I just feel better. When I'm around her, I just feel more hopeful. When I'm around her or him, I just feel that they get me, they see me. That's you being in your mastery, shining your light and being who you are. But it also means that you transcend some of these lower level emotions, programmings, ways of doing into what I would call creating new paradigms of being. Now, that can kind of be an overused term sometimes, but there is no better way to define what is possible for you than creating new paradigms of how you live your life, how you live fully, how you love fully, and how you really allow yourself to be all that you are. And when you come into realization, that is how we truly enter into the heart of true creation. And true creation is very different than needing, wanting, trying to manifest something, this constant motivation that you're not enough, and how do you do more to be enough? This constant need to be safe and be protected. Coming into realization is to know really, truly who you are, to come into your mastery, and then to really live like one, and to create within your own creation, to come into the heart of creation and to create within your own creation, to master impeccable creative expression that is dedicated to the highest, your highest good, and the highest good of all. That's the heart of creation. So, Sarah Elizabeth, I just want to go to you for a moment here. I'll take a breath, and I'd love for you to add anything, any questions that you have, anything that you think would be valuable for us to go deeper into.
I think you said it very well. It is really about coming into mastery. And I do want to add, we came into this physical reality to play in form, in density. Density isn't a bad thing. The council talks about this. Density is what allows you to see and hear and smell and taste and touch and even think. Like, these are all experiences of form, and they're so beautiful. So stepping into realization is being the masterful, divine energy that you are, while simultaneously being in physical form and just enjoying what's all around. And as Sara said, shining your light because it's who you are, not to try to change something, not to try to fix something because nothing's broken, but just to be and to enjoy. And as you do, you will help everyone and everything around you. You can't help it. It's impossible not to happen. And so I think one of the most incredible things that the council has been just throwing in as little nuggets lately, encouraging us to treat every day as if it's a clean slate, a brand new experience. And you mentioned, the work that we do just being something that we would do no matter what. And as I was playing my way through today, literally, and in preparation for this call, one of the things that I did was something that I do regularly. We had a master's class advanced program channeled call on Sunday, and I have the joy and privilege of taking a segment of those messages and turning them into a blog that you can find on the saralandon.com site under free resources. And so as I'm going through that message that's just a couple of days ago, I noticed that they said, if you did that, they essentially said, if you did that, you would go through every day fresh and bright, and you would say, oh, more of this, and yes, I like that, and oh, that was fun, and nah, and more of this, and more, and you would place your emphasis on the more. Mm-hmm. But as humans, we often have a practice of placing our emphasis on the no. And I think that would be something that would help us prepare for this new energy and embrace this new energy that's coming into the planet that they just started talking about on Sunday as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for that. When we hear the term create your own reality, if you're like me, before the council really helped us to understand what that meant, I thought that meant the big reality 10 years from now, the big reality 5 years from now, the bigger house, the more money, the perfect lover, the perfect body, the new business. We think creating our reality is these big things that are out there. And I'll tell you, one of the greatest moments of realization that I experienced is when the council said, no, this reality right here, you get to choose how you create it. You are either sitting in this room in joy, in peace, feeling totally satiated, which means to be full and filled up, and allowing all of your physical senses, what you see, what you hear, what you taste, what you smell, what you touch, and what you think, all being in support of your highest joy, feeling the love that you are, feeling connected to everything, no matter what is happening. Know and assume that it is happening for you. It is serving in your realization. You are here in this life at this time because this is the life and this is the time that you have chosen to come into realization and to live a realized life. Whatever you think you have lost in your life on your spiritual path, on the other side of realization, that is where we acknowledge that everything we feel like we have lost has been restored and more. Because in those levels of consciousness and awareness, you get more of what you are. You get more of what you are. Not what you think you need and not what you want. You get more of what you are. So when you understand that choosing how you create this reality right here in this moment is going to draw to you more realities like that. And there isn't these big things. It's every day choosing in every situation how you want to live your life to the fullest today. How do you want to play and create today? We don't really realize how much we're choosing. You're choosing what time you woke up this morning. You're choosing what you ate for breakfast. You're choosing how you fixed your hair or whether you fixed your hair. You're choosing the clothes you put on. You're choosing the thoughts you're thinking. You're choosing whether you call that person. You're choosing whether you watch that movie or watch that. We're making thousands and thousands of choices all day long. Are you making those choices out of lack and limitation? Or are you making those choices out of being totally satiated, in a state of joy and peace, being totally filled up in your life? I was having a conversation with someone today, and it's that very simple, in the moment, understanding that you're choosing who you want to be today. the council focuses on getting beyond the constant doing to stay busy, to be enough, to do enough. That is pushing energy where you think it should go. What they talk about is get into a state of being where your abundance and well-being is assured. What do you want to be more of? It's not about doing more. It's not doing more. It's about being more. And it doesn't matter how general or how specific that is. It is about being, knowing that you get to choose the reality that you want to create for you right here, right now, and that you have the choice to do that. So one of the things I would say is preparing for the new energies for any of these practices in your life, even to bring in greater abilities and talents that you know you have, which is part of what's going on right now in this realization. It is knowing that you have the power to choose. And you are either holding yourself in limitation, I can't, I try, they won't let me, he won't let me, she won't let me, or this is who I choose to be. This is what I choose for me. This is the reality that I'm creating for me right here, right now. And as Sarah Elizabeth said, every day is a clean slate for you to choose that for you. And then when we really come into this knowing, when we really start to elevate our awareness and our consciousness, people ask oftentimes, how do you know you have experienced realization? Sometimes we have these spontaneous experiences. Someone was sharing with me that around 2012, they just had this experience of spontaneous enlightenment, and they were sort of in this enlightened state for a week, and it never really came back again. And the truth is that after that happened, every moment after that is then a choice, whether you will go back to that state of consciousness and vibration, or you will hold yourself in lack and limitation. And one of the most simple things that I can tell you is still the practice for me. I think that it is no truer words that the council has said, that the doorway into heaven on earth, the doorway to heaven on earth, is being totally satiated in the moment as often as possible. And when you really allow yourself to be satiated in the moment, to not entangle with lack, to not hold yourself in limitation, and you really allow yourself to be satiated, you begin to move into this experience where you know that you are the place where heaven and earth come together. It's really important right now, especially for those of us who have this wonderful passion for getting into higher levels of vibration and consciousness, whether you do so by being in nature, meditation, listening to channeled information, music, whatever it is, however you get into a better feeling state and a higher level of vibration and consciousness, it's so important that we really ground that into our experience. The human experience is your opportunity to bring heaven and earth together. You are the place where heaven and earth come together. And when you come into that knowing, when you come into your oneness, everything really does rise up to support you. You realize that you are a force field of consciousness. I always thought of myself as a spiritual being. I always thought of myself as a soul. But in the awareness that we are a force field of consciousness, made up of particles of infinite creation that are always responding to you, you begin to understand that the source within you really does exist within everything. Consciousness moves energy into form. The formula for creation. Consciousness moves energy into form. Consciousness moves light into life. You are the vessel that brings consciousness and energy into form. You are the place where heaven and earth come together. You are the heart of creation. You are the place where you recognize yourself as creator within your own creation, that you really do have the ability to choose and create the experience that you want to have for you. And it is our perception of anything that is creating our reality. So everything that's happening is happening for you. It's serving in bringing you into your realization, bringing you into enlightenment. It is serving in helping you to remember your power. And it is reminding you that no matter what is going on around you, that you always have the ability to come into the moment and be conscious and be present and focus this force field that is you and choose the experience that you want to have for you. So I remember when the council first started talking about experiencing more joy, playing, creating, having fun. My first response is, well, how's that going to make me more successful? How's that going to fix all the problems? How's that going to make my life better? And to be quite honest with you, I didn't even know what brought me joy. I had to really consciously focus that. I ask this question to people all the time: what really brings you joy? And yet, for most of us, the answer is the same. Nature, animals, the people that you love, beautiful music, moving your body, dancing, singing, cooking, creating, painting. The things that are so important that often we create this story holding ourselves in lack and limitation, that I haven't worked hard enough to do the things that bring me joy. I'll do the things that bring me joy after I work really hard. And the same, and maybe even more difficult for me when I first came across this incredible wisdom from the council, was this idea of playing, that playing is creating. Playing is creating. I remember them bringing that through one time, and I thought, playing is creating. You know, to me, playing was the thing you got to do after all of your work was done, after you did everything that was supposed to be done. And usually by that time, I was so exhausted, the last thing on earth I wanted to do was play. Maybe some of you can relate. And yet, as you move into higher levels of consciousness and remember who you are, you really begin to remember that all of your power is in your joy, in playing, in creating. That you really connect with your true power, and anything and everything becomes possible for you. And true creation is very, very different than trying to create something you think you need or get something you think you need because you're in this experience of lack. And so the energy by which we create anything is what exists in the manifestation of it. So when you do it from an energy of joy and fullness and being totally satiated and playing, then that's what we experience. That's what we experience more of. And I remember the council saying, if you will really live this, you will live a life beyond your wildest dreams. And I remember at the time thinking, wow, I have some really big dreams and ideas of what I want. And yet I can say with all of my heart that I truly live a life beyond anything I ever thought was possible, with so much joy and the ability to play and create and do what I love every day. And if it's possible for me, I know it's possible for everyone. And you wouldn't be hearing this if this message wasn't for you today. So, Sarah, I'm just going to turn it back. Sarah Elizabeth, I'm just going to turn it back to you for a moment.
I think you're absolutely right, Sarah. You wouldn't be hearing this if you didn't somewhere within you know, and you can feel the resonance of it, and you can feel your own readiness for it. And so be kind to yourself if you're having an experience. Sarah talked about transcending lower level experiences and emotions. That doesn't mean you don't have them. It just means you remember. And one of the best things the council ever said to me specifically was, a question that you can take with you is, how is this happening for me? And that's enough for me to shift my perspective, even when I'm in the middle of something that I really think I don't want. And that's me with my own agenda, thinking I know the way it ought to be, force it, effort it, push energy around, instead of that mastering, impeccable creative expression dedicated to the highest good of all that Sarah mentioned, which is just to say, release any attachment to the specificity of the outcome, because what you really want is to be happy, and what you really want is to be satisfied. And what if there's a way that is so much beyond anything that you've had exposure or experience with that you couldn't imagine it yet? but you can let it in. And so it's
Mm.
all about allowing. And meanwhile, play in the formless. The formless creation is so important. Let that imagination be as real. Let that pyramid of light be an experience that you have that allows you to communicate and, enjoy playing with. Sara mentioned, coming into some of these talents and abilities that we came here with that we sort of have forgotten about. Just play with them. And the council has been talking to us about not trying to turn that into some way of life. And it looks different for everybody. So that's part of your own creative expression. And so maybe you're a healer that involves physical touch, or maybe you're, going to experience incredible telepathy and communication in that way, and countless, countless other things that I'm sure I can't even imagine. But just enjoying that. And I honestly think that is a glimpse of what heaven on earth looks like. When heaven and earth are merged, it's the fun and the formless coming into form and not being attached to this outcome that does come into form, because it can really be more than we can possibly imagine. And that thought alone, and pulling in the nature, being in nature, that is an easy way for me and for most people that I know to see the divinity in everything and in all situations. Just connect with nature, and you kind of walk around a little bit in that state of just like, things are bright and shiny and all is right in the world.
Yeah. It's interesting. I was doing a session yesterday with a wonderful woman who is part of our master's class community and has taken, our courses, and she lives in Europe. And she was really sort of upset when we first got on the phone, because she had heard that it was possible that their prime minister, I believe, was going to set a policy in place that people over a certain age couldn't be outside, including nature, because of the COVID virus. I don't quote me on these exactly, but it was over a certain age range that they had to shelter in place in home and not be out and about. And she was really upset about this. And the very first thing we did was say, okay, how could this be happening for you? Is it possible in some way that this could be happening for you, even if you can't see it now? Can you be open to the idea that maybe there's one good thing that would come from this? And she said, yeah, I can get to the place where maybe one good thing could come from this. I don't know what it is now. So we ended up doing a session with the council. And as we were going through the call, the council said, this incredible person is this beautiful messenger. She has an amazing ability to communicate with animals. She has amazing love for nature and connection into nature, into the natural world, and can come into this beautiful place of oneness with nature and animals, and hence her love for wanting to be outside in nature. And the council said, what if this experience was happening, and maybe you got 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks to really come into realization, so that you can allow your abilities and your talents, your ability to communicate and receive messages from higher levels of consciousness within the animal and the plant kingdom, that you're really going to hone your skills such that you can share your messages with the world the way you want to. Could you then see this experience as happening for you to provide you with the space and the time and the focus that will sustain you a lifetime of living your purpose and sharing beautiful messages with the world? And it was so emotional, because there was just truth in her being and my being, knowing how totally supported we are. And also to recognize that within all of that, you have the ability to choose the reality that you're going to create with this. Giving our power away, thinking we're choiceless because we can't go do something we think we want to do, to shifting what is it that I choose to do in this moment? How do I choose to feel? What do I choose to do? How do I choose to express myself? And finding some way to play within that, and really choosing to recognize that it is happening for you. It's been one of the most transformational tools, like Sarah Elizabeth said, in my own life. I had something come up that seemed in the moment like an inconvenience. And I just had to stop and take a breath, come back to my own teachings, which are, in what way is this serving me? In what way is this happening for me? In that moment that you make that choice, that you're going to choose that this is happening for you instead of happening to you and you're a victim and you're powerless, when you just choose and decide that this is happening for you, everything shifts. Everything shifts. And if you don't instantly start to see how it's happening for you, very quickly you will begin to see how it's happening for you. I had this experience. I at first got a little uptight about it, and I thought, no, I need to stay conscious. I need to stay present, and I'm choosing that this is happening for me. What do I need to do to stay in balance here? And it was to go find a particular document to get it to where it needed to go. Underneath the document was something I have been looking for about 3 months, that I just kind of assumed that I had lost somewhere. Had I not had to do the thing that I thought was an inconvenience, I never would have found this thing that was just such an incredible blessing for me. And so it can be that simple, and it can be a much greater thing. So I want to just take a few minutes. We're going to just take a few minutes. I really want to go through the things that we highlighted that we were going to talk about on this call. And the council will go into them more. We've talked about many of them, but I just want to make sure that we bring clarity to some of these things. And then we'll bring in the council, and then we'll go to Q&A. But the first thing is, what is the best way to really prepare for the new energy that's coming into our experience? As Sarah Elizabeth mentioned, we have a master's class program, and as part of the advanced program, you get access to a couple of live calls every month with the council and Q&A, as well as integration calls with me and many other things. But as part of that, they bring in the messages that are most particular for that month, for this time, and what's going on with the energy, the consciousness, what's going on to be prepared for, raising our perspective and our awareness so we can begin to live more consciously within our realities, within our lives. And so one of the things that they've said, which they've really never said before, is that right now we have a whole lot of new energy coming in to support us in moving into what they might call new earth energy, which is heart of creation, which is realization, which is living beyond limitation, where you really can choose the reality that you want to have for you, regardless what anybody else chooses. And so the best ways to prepare for the new energy, I'm going to give you my simplest tip for this. Number one, and most important thing, is consciously realize when you are unconsciously holding yourself in limitation. It's as simple as that. Don't judge yourself. Don't push against it. Don't even try to fix it in that moment. Just consciously realize when you're unconsciously holding yourself in limitation, or holding yourself in lack, or holding yourself in old energy. This is how we begin to make space for the new. So how that might show up is your family member that you don't really feel like talking to at that moment calls, and you say, oh, well, I have to answer the phone. I really should. I have to, right? That's an unconscious belief that you have to do something. It's a way we unconsciously hold ourselves in limitation, or, well, I can't do that. Or one of the things that happened to me recently, which played out live in one of our integration calls as part of the master's class, where I made a comment like, well, I've always been this type of person, right? I've always been a morning person. I've always been this person. I feel the best in the morning. And that is a way we actually unconsciously hold ourselves in limitation, because you begin to limit your energy. Then you begin to focus on the fact that you only have energy in the morning. And then all of the particles of infinite creation, which are within this force field of consciousness that are you, begin to respond to that. And then, yeah, you'll notice that you only have energy in the morning, but why limit yourself? Versus, I feel alive, energetic, passionate, I'm enthusiastic about my life. I really allow energy and light to guide the way for me. And when there isn't any, I stop and rest, because I know that's in my highest good in that moment. So you start to really become aware of all of the consciously becoming aware, consciously realizing when you're unconsciously holding yourself in limitation. And just come into realization about that. You're either in realization or you're in limitation. Limitation is the old energy. Realization is the new. Simple, simple way to start preparing for the new energy. Sarah Elizabeth, anything you want to add to that?
I think that's perfect. You're either in realization or in limitation. You're either allowing or you are denying. So just allow your energy. Don't deny the God, the source, the divine that you are.
Yeah. You're either allowing or you're doubting and denying who you really are, the power that you really have, the source that is within you. The second thing, what does it really mean to come into the heart of creation? I'm going to leave a little bit for the council, but to me, I know I'm really in the heart of creation when I am following energy and letting light guide the way for me. I know I'm creating. I know I'm creator within my own creation. I know that everything is supporting me. I know the world, the earth, the planet, the sun, the moon, and stars is all here supporting me when I follow energy and let the light guide the way. That was not how I used to operate. I came from the corporate world. I came from a very type A, make things happen, get things done, make a list, check it off, manage things, control things. That is actually pushing and forcing energy where you think it should go. And we usually make it a lot more difficult than it needs to be. Follow energy and let the light guide the way would mean you wake up. I sort of say, what is the experience I want to have today? I want to experience greater excitement, greater creativity. I want to express myself creatively. I want to feel greater expansion in my life. I want to really feel my connection to source and nature. And then I just let energy and light guide the way. And it's not always my logical way I would do it, but then ideas come to you, inspirations come to you. One of the most important things the council said one time is, you're waiting for inspired action. You're waiting for inspired action. You're waiting for inspired action. And the reason you think it hasn't come is because you're actually looking for something to do. You think inspired action is go do this, go do this, go do that, go do this, go do that, go do this, go do that. Inspired action, right, is just totally being in the flow. You might already have it done before you realize you have done something because you're just coming at it from a state of being. And you're letting energy and light guide the way. So we'll talk more about the heart of creation, but Sarah, anything else what does it really mean to you having, been part of this incredible wisdom with the council? What does coming into the heart of creation mean to you?
It's embracing my true power, my true self. It's living from that place consistently. I don't want to say all the time because that would be, I feel like, a silly thing to hold myself to, but consistently.
Yeah, really good. Beautiful. Okay, the importance of aligning with nature and the planet. And I think Sarah Elizabeth really covered this well with what she said. You are consciousness, you are source, you are God, you are the divine, you are that which is in everything, everything. And if you really want to come into your true nature, it is to align with all of nature and the planet. So many of us want to go up and out and get out of our body because you don't love the human experience. I'm saying come into the human experience and really love your life the way you intended to. And for me, that is coming into my total oneness and connection with nature, the plants, the animals, the trees, the ecosystem beneath your feet, the sun, the moon, the stars, just coming into this harmonious alignment, being in the flow of life. Instead of trying to push against it and try to do it my way, when and how I think it should be, it's really coming into this knowing the power that you are, the source that you are, allowing yourself to live in the flow and aligning with nature. And I never ever thought I would be a person that could literally hear and feel the wisdom within the trees, within nature. I can tell you in stillness, when you really come into this experience of being so present in nature and being totally satiated by the beauty, by the textures, by the shapes, by the intelligence that nature shows us, by the perfection that nature shows us, by the resiliency. It, it, it just brings you into this absolute state of oneness. The council says that beauty can bring you into realization, and realization will reveal the beauty to you. One of the ways I know I'm in a realized state is when I'm so completely satiated by the beauty in our world, on our planet, within nature, within the animal and the plant kingdoms. It's one of the most important ways that I come into moments of realization. Sarah Elizabeth, anything to add to that?
I'm eager to hear the council talk more about why it's so important, because it's something they've been bringing up over and over again. For me personally, I think it's just an easy way in. I don't have any attachment or judgment around nature. Nature hasn't done anything to me or anything like that. So it's easy for me to step into that state of being in nature. Mm-hmm. And then once I'm there, everything else looks easier too.
Yeah. It's interesting to me. If you think of heaven and earth, or heaven on earth, or being in heaven on earth, I wonder if anyone ever pictures heaven on earth without nature.
I can't imagine that they do.
So as we come into merging heaven on earth in our new course that, we're sort of previewing in this broadcast today, merging heaven on earth, at least from my opinion, I can't think of any time I've thought of heaven on earth where it didn't include nature. And for me, my heaven on earth certainly includes animals as well. So we'll talk more about that. So why it matters that we play as we go beyond limitation. I think Sara Elizabeth is such a wonderful example of this. And, playing as an enlightened being in your human experience and how important it is. And I know we've talked a lot about play, but anything else you wanted to add about why it's so important that we play?
Honestly, I think it's important to play because that's why you came here. Simple as that.
Yeah. The council says the greatest understanding of your human experience is that you came here on a grand adventure. You're here on a vacation. You really are. And I, at first, when they said that, I thought, ooh, I don't know. And after I got beyond sort of my limited beliefs about that, I sort of let my limited beliefs about that come into the light on the other side of it, I can tell you, absolutely, I know that we are here on a grand adventure. It is more like a vacation than anything else. Why would you go on a vacation? Well, you're only there for a limited amount of time, which is true for our human experience. You go there to have new opportunities, to see new places, to meet new people, to visit new cultures, to do the things you want to do, to play, to rest, to read a book, to write a book, to do the things you want to do. That's why you're here in this life. And so it's so important to do the things that are play for you. An understanding of your abilities and talents that we had coming into this lifetime. I get the joy of working with so many people that at some point in their life, usually very spontaneously, come across some ability. This awareness, whether it's being able to communicate with animals, being able to bring through channel messages, healing abilities to communicate telepathically, or incredible visionaries, people that just tune in to the intricacies of how life and earth and creation work, all sorts of things that you didn't learn it here. You didn't get some certification or some skill that you picked up, and many things could have supported you in remembering your abilities and your talents and fine-tuning them and really coming into a level of mastery or excellence with them. But the council has said this time right now that we are in this, while the COVID pandemic is fairly prevalent on our planet, that all sorts of your latent abilities and talents are going to be activated. But it is about allowing them. And part of going beyond limitation is allowing in and beginning to really engage and activate all sorts of abilities and talents that you haven't allowed yourself to explore because you were holding yourself in some of the limitation that you learned in this human experience. And we're going to go way deeper into activating and engaging your abilities and your talents in Merging Heaven on Earth, our new course, but such an important thing for this time. How to see the divine in all things, in all situations more often. And I think it's this one simple thing that Sara, Elizabeth, and I have been talking about, one of the most important teachings that has absolutely changed my life, which is I choose that whatever is happening for me. Whatever it is. And in my life, I have experienced cancer, the death of my beloved brother and my beloved cousin. I've gone through my own divorce. I have lost money and gone into debt. I have lost businesses. I have experienced a lot of different things. There's not one of those things that I can say with absolute, total knowing that those things all happened for me, that those things were all serving me and provided gifts in their own way, that I know I wouldn't be who I am had those things not happened. And we don't have to create trauma and drama in our life to come into realization. Your realization can be in a joyful, loving, harmonious experience for you. And my wish is that in teaching this wisdom and sharing this wisdom and guiding you to how to live this wisdom, that your realization can be a joyful, peaceful, loving, harmonious experience of coming into your power, coming into your truth, and being who you really are. But that one thing has changed everything for me. It is absolutely choosing and knowing that whatever is going on is happening for you. And the second you make that choice, you begin to see the gifts, the perspective changes, and your reality changes, and things begin to come into place for you. Anything to add to that, Sara, Elizabeth?
I think you're absolutely right, Sara. And the one thing that I would add is sometimes it isn't about things that you feel like are happening to you, though they're really for you. They're not necessarily directly in your life experience. Sometimes you might look at something and think like, how can that be? Or how can that person think that or do that or whatever it is? And the thing that's really helped me is an analogy that the council made on a call at the beginning of July about it being a game. And all of a sudden, I thought, oh my gosh, the human experience is like the best ever virtual reality game we could possibly play. And that person gets to choose their character, and I get to choose my character, and I get to choose my adventure. And whatever they choose has little to no impact on me. And that helps me see the divine in everything. And I've heard it before as a book or a movie, let your life be that script that you're writing. You choose the characters and you play it out.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you for that. The role of formless creation and how to enjoy it more thoroughly. Oh, this is one of my favorite topics. And I'll start with this. Everything starts in the formless. Everything. Everything starts in the formless. You started in formless. You came from higher consciousness. You are light. You are energy. You are vibration. The part of you that is real is formless. Now, you're in this form and it's wonderful, and it's about totally living your life to the fullest within this human experience of form. However, you never meant for all of your creations to have to be in the density of physical form for you to truly enjoy them. One of the best ways I can answer this question, someone asked a question on one of our master's class integration calls recently, that aren't we being not present by accessing our imagination and going into, Sara referred to the pyramid of light, which is a process that the council teaches about going into this pyramid of light to have any conversation you want to have, to access your telepathic communication abilities, to resolve things on a higher level of consciousness before you try to move that into density where you might come across reaction and resistance. create it in the highest experience, and then allow it to move into form. Create it in the formless, and then allow it to move into form. The same with beginning to understand you're a multidimensional being. You are a multidimensional being, and everything is happening now. When we go beyond time and space, and it's funny because very early on in the COVID experience, about March of 2020 for us, the council did a message that's available on YouTube that is about the coronavirus. And this woman said, I've heard that this prophesies that this is the end of time. And the council said, it absolutely is the end of time. It is the end of time as a limitation, being limited by this idea of linear time. When you go into higher levels of consciousness, most all of us have had these experiences where time expands, where the moment expands, where there's just more in it. You have an experience where you're hyper focused, and it's like all time slows down and expands. This is about going beyond the limitation of linear time to begin to understand yourself as a multidimensional being. Only part of you is in this experience of density, but it's the part we focus on the most. So this question about tuning into multidimensional potentials, tuning into your imagination, tuning into this pyramid of light or higher levels of consciousness, it's actually not about avoiding the moment. You don't do it because you're not satiated by where you are. In fact, that's part of the entryway into higher levels of consciousness. That's part of why we're talking so much about merging heaven and earth and going beyond limitation into this heart of creation. Heart of creation is your multidimensional realities. So it is by being in the wholeness of the moment, being in your fullness, really being satiated, that you can expand your awareness into higher levels of consciousness that are available to you and play and create there. Because everything first starts in the formless. Where we trip ourselves up with that is we get so attached. We think we can go create it in our imagination or in our vision. And then we think we get to control, try to manipulate energy to do it how we think it should be done, when we think it should be done, and with who, right? Which is to really begin to sort of manipulate energy and force things instead of allowing things to move from formless into form in the most easy, effortless, harmonious way. That's how we really create within the heart of creation, is allowing our formless creations to be just as satiating as the creations within form. Because again, you're this force field of consciousness and made up of particles of infinite creation that are always responding to you. Your consciousness moves energy into form. So when you expand your consciousness into more that is possible for you, and you begin to play and also explore and create your formless reality, your consciousness then moves that energy, those particles of infinite creation, into an experience of form. Now, I never, ever thought in all of my life that I would ever get to this point where I no longer needed to figure everything out. In fact, think about how many times throughout the day you just unconsciously, again, back to the practice here, consciously notice, consciously realize when you unconsciously hold yourself in limitation. How many times a day do you say, oh, I need to figure that out. I got to figure that out. It's just this thing we do unconsciously. You don't have to figure it out. That's actually not your job. That's the best part. It's not your job. Your job is to get into your highest joy, your highest excitement, to get aligned with what you want more of. From higher levels of consciousness, you don't get what you want, you don't get what you think you need, you get more of what you are. And part of the ways we really align to that energy of who we are being is by allowing ourselves to be satiated by some of the formless creations that are available to you and allowing it to move and form, divine right time, perfect orchestration in your highest and best good. And we're going to get much more into mastering impeccable creative expression dedicated to the highest good of all, and certainly to your own highest good without limiting creation as we get into our new course starting August 11th, which is merging heaven and earth, going beyond limitation into the heart of creation. So again, this call is a preview for that. And we hope you will consider joining us for that course starting live. It's a live 6-week course starting on August 11th. You can find out more at our website, saralandon.com, under shop, and go to the courses. And just anything more to add about formless creation, Sarah Elizabeth?
Just have fun with it. The universe really can imagine it better than you can and can see from broader perspective. Play with it, enjoy it, and remember that everything that's in form starts in the formless.
Awesome. So a glimpse of the way it looks when heaven and earth are one.
Totally satiated every moment.
Yeah. And I know, I know it's hard to believe this if this is not your reality right now. But I'm telling you, it's absolutely possible for you to live that way, to live in a realized state, to live in heaven on earth most all of the time. That there will come a time when you just realize how far you've come and you really are living in heaven on earth, and heaven on earth really is within you, and you know that you are one with everything and that you were never alone, that you have always been guided and supported, and that you matter, and that your life matters, and that everything is here for you and is here supporting you in every way. That's a glimpse of heaven on earth. So, anything else to add, Sarah Elizabeth?
In heaven on earth, there's nothing to figure out, and you don't want to.
Yeah.
When heaven and earth come together, there's no figuring it out. And I love that the council says it's their favorite part. You can't figure it out anyway. You never could see from the highest perspective, because we're here in form, in limitation to some degree. So just let it be, allow it.
Yeah, really good. I remember you saying one time that even if you could snap your fingers and get everything you wanted today, you wouldn't do it. Because the journey to it, who you become in the process, the people you meet along the way, the beauty that you experience along the way, all the incredible things that happen on the way, that's the best part.
It really is. And it's funny because I know you remember what we were talking about when I said, even if I could snap my fingers and be there right now, I wouldn't do it. And so much of it is so close. And I still wouldn't snap my fingers, even in the next week or two. The things that are clicking in, that are scheduled, that are happening for real, I still wouldn't snap my fingers because I don't want to miss a moment.
Yeah. And when you know that you can stay conscious and present in every moment, then it's so easy to live your life that way. And you do it so beautifully and so masterfully. So I'm just honored to do this call with you today. And I'm just so grateful for you. And thank you. Thank you for being here with us.
You're so welcome. Thank you. And likewise, are you kidding me? It's fun to
No place
co-create
else
with
I'd
other
rather
masters.
Be. Yeah, thank you. So we're going to go ahead and bring the council in, and they will start with a message for us. Not sure how long that will be. They probably will go about 10 minutes or so, and then we'll go to some Q&A before we wrap up the call today. I see there's quite a few questions in the queue. We'll get to as many as we can. We really do want to answer your questions. And I know some of the very best parts of our courses that we do are the Q&A with the council. And I want to make sure that we have some time for that. So if you are new to the council, if you are new to channeling, if you're new to me, let me just give you a quick moment of what you're going to experience, so that you can just allow it to be and allow yourself this experience of their love and their vibration. So when I bring them in, I'm going to close my eyes and I'm going to take about 3 deep breaths. And what I'm sort of doing is getting myself out of the way and reaching for the vibration where they are. And I serve as a conduit, a vessel by which their wisdom comes from higher consciousness and infinite intelligence into this physical form in a way that we can integrate it into our human experience. And so my eyes are closed. I really encourage you to close yours as well and just allow yourself to receive and feel for the vibration of their words and feel for the love. Many people describe it as an experience of coming home. Many people describe it as just this feeling of remembering who they are. And, you know, many people feel an incredible vibration and feel so very, very loved. And so if you're looking at me trying to figure out where Sara went and what the council is, it might distract you a little bit from that feeling. So I encourage you to just enjoy it. It's a very natural process. You know, anytime an athlete is in the zone, or when you're out, you know, in nature and you just sort of lose track of time and space and you're just in this total state of being, or you have this, you just hear this insight, that's a form of channeling. And so just allow yourself to enjoy it. The council will begin with a message for us, and then I'll go to Sara Elizabeth. We'll go to Sara Elizabeth and she can bring through some of your questions. So if we do go to your question, just be sure to double check that you're unmuted. Look at the little button that says mute. Make sure that you're unmuted. There's not a big red X through it. You may have to click a box in a pop-up screen to unmute yourself. But the faster you get yourself off of mute, the more questions we can go through. So anything else, Sara Elizabeth?
If you haven't met the council before, you're in for a wild ride. Good luck. I'm kidding. It's going to be fun.
All right, here we go. So I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to take about 3 deep breaths. If you could do the same and just drop from your head down into your heart, and let's just have an incredible experience here. Here we go. We are so pleased and delighted to have the opportunity to speak with you all on this fine day. And we tell you that while our words to you in this time are important, this is a vibrational experience of truly remembering who you really are, the divine creator of your life experience, creator within your own creation. You are everything you wish to be. Everything is possible for you. You are everything you wish to be. You already are. It is all within you, and it always has been. It is time for you to come into the realization of all that you are and go beyond the struggle, the resistance that holds you in limited forms of experience. There's so much more here for you, and there's so much more possible for you. All of you have come into knowing yourself as more than your circumstances and conditions. You are not your circumstances and conditions. You are not the things that you have done. You are not your fears, and you are not your limitation. You are so much more. Don't you know that? You know that you're not, and yet you hold yourself in the experience of defining yourself by the lack and the limitation that you hold yourself in, defining yourself as separate from the very source that you are. As you are in lower levels of consciousness, and you get to these lower levels of consciousness through resistance, through holding yourself, which is really the most difficult part of the human experience, to hold yourself, to slow your rate of vibration and hold yourself in lack and limitation. You never intended it to be that way, which is why it feels so awful when you're in this feeling of being alone or not being safe or being scared or being in fear or being in judgment or separation. You never meant to come into this human experience and decide for anyone else what is right or wrong for them. You only came to choose for you. You came here to choose for you. And one of the places you most often lose your own power is by creating realities, unwanted realities that are not happening now, that make you feel more awful than if they were to be happening now. When you fear and worry about things that are not happening now, you're creating an image. You are projecting a holographic reality into your force field. And every cell in your body begins to respond as if that is happening when it is not. The same is true with memories, and the same is true with your old stories and your programs. Bringing them here and now is creating an unwanted experience. And particles of infinite creation are always responding to you. They are not bad, they are not good, they are not right, they are not wrong. But you are choosing, because particles of infinite creation are always responding to you, what you're focused on, what your perspective, what your perception is. You are experiencing life when you do not really know who you are through your physical senses, and you think that that is what is reality, and you think reality is happening to you. And when you feel powerless over this, when you feel like you have no choice, when you feel like you're stuck or you're suffering, when you're in resistance of what is, you're holding yourself in a heavy density. You're taking this beautiful being of light that you are and holding it down. And you never meant it to be that way, which is why it feels so awful to you. You are a feeling being. The truth is always going to come to you as a feeling. It feels really good to know that you're loved. It feels really good to come home to the truth within you. It feels really good to be in joy. It feels really good to know that you are always supported and always guided, because that is the truth of you. And it feels really good to believe that you can create any reality that you choose for you, because it is true. Your perception is what is creating your reality. You are perceiving life through your physical senses. What you hear, what you see, what you taste, what you touch, what you smell, and what you think is how you are perceiving the world around you. And when you're perceiving that you do not have a choice, it doesn't feel very good to you. When you begin to perceive through a higher level of consciousness and awareness, which is why you have drawn this to you. You drew this to you. This is you remembering a truth within you. This is you coming home to the truth within you, so that you can remember who you really are, so that you can remember why you're really here, so that you can remember the way you intended life to be, a grand adventure, easy, effortless, harmonious, when you follow energy and let the light guide the way for you. Everything really is happening for you, we assure you. There is nothing happening outside of you unless you focus yourself into someone else's creation and try to control and manipulate and choose for another. From the highest levels of consciousness, there is no judgment ever, because we do not see things as right nor wrong. We understand that everything that exists that you might deem as wrong or bad is merely a level of consciousness, and a lower level of consciousness where you're not really allowing your power, and you're usually not allowing energy and light to guide the way for you, because you're not really allowing yourself to open up and let energy serve you. So you hold yourself in density. When you judge, you are in separation. When you're judging things as wrong, when you're judging people as wrong, when you're judging circumstances and conditions as wrong, you're denying the source within all things. You are coming into separation. You are separating yourself from source. You're seeing others as separated from source. You're seeing conditions and circumstances as separate from source, instead of coming into the realization that everything truly is here serving you, that you are one with everything, that you are always supported, that you are always guided, and that anything and everything is possible for you. You are a master. You are truly here to master your human experience. How would a master live his or her life? It is not about doing more. It's not about pushing harder. It's not about constantly doing more to avoid unwanted circumstances, to avoid the potential that you could get your purpose wrong, that you could do it wrong, that you wouldn't be right, that you wouldn't do it right or good enough. It is coming into the fullness of all that you are, remembering how you intended this life experience to be. Coming into realization of all that you are, coming into knowing yourself as the divine source that you are, coming into knowing yourself beyond the limitation that you've held yourself in, going beyond limitation, going beyond separation, going beyond right and wrong, going beyond judgment, going beyond lack, going beyond denying and doubting who you really are, into allowing the fullness of all that you are and all that is here for you. Creator within your own creation. You are an extension of Source. You are that which you call God. You are the divine expressing yourself in physical form. You are here for your own expansion. Every experience you have leads to your expansion. In the becoming more becomes available to you. You elevate your consciousness and awareness. Every experience provides data and information that leads you back to the truth of who you really are and what's possible for you. And you meant for that data and information to contribute positively to your choosing more of what you wanted, to more of all that you are, to sift through this experience of life, creator within your own creation, and choose for you, not to start creating in others' creations, but to fully, powerfully come into the realization of all that you are, and to create the experience that you want to have for you, to know yourself as creator within your own creation, entering into the heart of creation. Entering into the heart of creation. Never again needing to entangle with lack and limitation, to create more, to be more, to experience yourself as more, to express yourself more, to experience more, to express yourself more, to create more, and to expand into more. You are perfect, yet always expanding and becoming more. When you know your own perfection, when you can witness the perfection in the world around you, when you can witness the perfection in nature, when you can see the beauty in everything, beauty will take you into realization, and realization will reveal the beauty that is here for you. You will come into the realization that it is all here for you. It always has been, and it always will be. And you will know how truly supported and guided you are every step of the way, how loved you are, how loved you are, how loved you are. And knowing that will be the doorway into the heart of creation, where you can fully allow your life to be everything you intended it to be. You are either in realization or you are in limitation. You don't get to choose for every other, and it doesn't matter what everyone else chooses. It matters what you choose for you. So just notice. Just notice when you are in moments of resistance. Resistance always causes pain, either physical, emotional, or spiritual pain. Just notice when you're in resistance, when you're holding yourself unconsciously in limitation, when you're holding yourself unconsciously in the unwanted, when you're giving all your attention to the unwanted, when you're focused on the unwanted and projecting a holographic reality in this force field of consciousness that is you, that is unwanted. And choosing the reality that you want to experience for you. We are here to raise your awareness, to elevate your consciousness. Because as you raise your awareness of what is possible for you, when you remember who you really are, you begin to perceive things differently from a grander viewpoint, a grander perspective, a higher level of awareness, a higher level of consciousness within this human experience. Your perception is what is creating a reality. How you're perceiving anything is what the particles of infinite creation within your force field of consciousness are responding to. Your perception and how you're perceiving, what you're focused on is what the particles of infinite creation within the force field of consciousness that is you, that's what they're responding to you. That's what's creating your reality. That's what's drawing your reality to you. You are consciousness. That is what you really are. Consciousness, experiencing yourself in form. You are consciousness, and reality is moving through you. You're a force field of consciousness made up of particles of infinite creation. Reality is moving through you. When you come into the heart of creation, you understand your ability to perceive and elevate your awareness and begin to create a whole new reality. And when you do, you will realize that heaven on earth has been here all along. Heaven on earth has been here all along. You just weren't in a level of consciousness by which you could perceive it as your reality. That is the truth within you that you have searched for and longed for throughout all of your days here. Coming home to remember. Coming home to you. Coming home to you. And remembering that heaven and earth are within you, that heaven on earth is within you. And on the other side of your realization, you will understand that all of the beauty is here for you, all of the love is here for you, all of the joy is here for you. And it's not about doing and doing and doing. It's about being. Being. All that you want to be. Expressing yourself creatively. Choosing the experiences that you want to have for you. Allowing yourself to expand. Allowing yourself to express yourself fully. Allowing yourself to choose the reality that you want to experience for you. Living your life fully, loving fully, and being all that you are. We'll say one last thing. Understand that going beyond limitation is where it's all at, because whether it is health and wellness that you desire, or love and relationships, or community, or money and abundance and prosperity, or living a fuller, richer life, it's all beyond limitation. Understanding that as you continue to elevate your consciousness and awareness, that more and more is revealed to you, that more opens up to you, that more becomes available to you, that you begin to access even higher levels of consciousness within your own reality. And you understand the potentials for the human body. The human body, when you have disease and decay and misalignment in the body, is always coming from the emotional layer. When you're holding yourself emotionally in limitation, it then affects the body, but it is the limitation that is felt within the emotion, your emotional layer. The thoughts that you're thinking are affecting your emotions. Your emotions are affecting the way that you feel. The way that you feel is affecting your vibration, which is determining the level of consciousness that you're in, which is what is drawing your reality to you. When you begin to elevate your consciousness and your awareness, when you begin to start thinking and perceiving differently, when you begin to elevate yourself out of lack and limitation, you begin to move your emotion into joy and happiness and ease and freedom and harmony and well-being. And your entire body begins to transcend disease, pain, suffering. Your whole human experience begins to move into what somewhere within you you've always known as possible for you. Joy, peace, love, harmony, well-being, abundance. What you really desire isn't as specific as you think it is. Because if you really go one step deeper and one step deeper, you want a richer life. You want a fuller life. You want a more joyful life. You want a more meaningful life. It's time to go beyond limitation and separation. What is separation? You separating yourself from the source that you are. You separating from the power that you have. You separating yourself from the light and the energy that's always here to guide you. You separating yourself from everything that is here, always supporting you, always for you. You separating yourself from the intelligence all around you. Separation is the separation. You separating yourself from the infinite love that is always here for you, the infinite well-being that is always available to you, the infinite abundance that is always available to you, and the infinite intelligence that is always available to guide you and support you every step of the way. Go beyond limitation. Go beyond separation. Allow yourself into the heart of true creation. Come home to you. Come home to the truth of who you are. Heaven on earth is within you, and it has always been available to you. Remember, 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 you are everything you wish to be. You already are. It is all within you, and it always has been. Come into the realization of all that you are, so that you can live fully and love fully and really be all that you are, creator within your own creation of heaven on earth, here and now. Take a deep breath and let it go. When you breathe in you're allowing. When you breathe out, let it all go. Breathe in, allowing it all in. Breathe out, let it all go. Breathe in, let it all in. Breathe out, let it all go. And so it is. We love you all so very much. We are always with you, and we are always available to you. We are here because we promised we would be, so that you would never forget the truth of who you really are and why you are here and all that is possible for you. Whether you are hearing us for the first time or for the 5,000th time, we are always with you. We are always available to you. We have always been here with you. We love you. We love you. We love you. And so it is. Our friend Sarah Elizabeth will go to your questions now.
Perfect. Let's start with David.
Our friend David, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Indeed.
Sarah and the council and Sarah Elizabeth, thank you so much for taking my call. I'm experiencing a flare-up of ulcerative colitis. It's been going on for 3 weeks. I was in fear mode, but I am trying to get into the mode of this is happening for me. In the process of this, it looks like I'm going to be taken off payroll very soon with my company. And I just feel not sure what's going to happen. My symptoms are still here. I'm trying to release, and I sure hope this is moving out of me. Can you give me any advice?
Indeed. So don't tell us the symptoms. Tell us what you feel when you are feeling the dis-ease and disharmony in your body. What is the feeling?
An uncomfortableness and an overwhelming.
Mm-hmm. So uncomfortable and feeling overwhelmed. That's what you're feeling in your physical body, and that's what you're calling intestinal colitis, right?
Yes.
And you probably have a doctor that said that that's what it is. But
Yeah.
what it really is feeling uncomfortable and overwhelmed. Is that correct?
Yes,
That's
it is.
really what it feels like. If you were to tell us what you're experiencing, you're feeling uncomfortable and overwhelmed.
And it's a lot to do with the company that I came
Indeed.
into in March. I don't feel comfortable there. I feel
Right.
overwhelmed.
Indeed. So we love you so much, and there's no judgment from our side ever, but can you see what a powerful creator you are?
Yes,
From your emotional layer of really feeling and continually feeling overwhelmed and uncomfortable, you literally created a reality in your physical body of exactly what you were feeling in your emotional layer and what you were focused on. And there's no judgment, because guess what? You're a creator. You get to create and recreate and recreate and recreate and recreate. So there's nothing wrong with what you have created, because it's showing you what a powerful creator you are. If you will do this when something comes up, what is it that I'm feeling? Not the diagnosis, not the doctor said, not the pushing against, not the even shaming yourself for it. You are creating in the physical body the cells in your body are responding. The particles of infinite creation are responding to you feeling overwhelmed and uncomfortable. And yet, your second part of the question was, you're potentially going to lose this job that makes you feel overwhelmed and uncomfortable?
yes,
Yes. And you don't see how that could be happening for you?
I guess you're right.
So, it's not about us being right, because you're certainly not wrong. We love you so much. We emphasize this. It is not about shaming yourself, blaming yourself, or judging yourself. It's about really taking responsibility and seeing what an absolute powerful creator you are. You just didn't know you could create the wanted. What do you want to feel in your life? What do you really want to feel in your life?
Fun and joy.
Fun and joy. What brings you the greatest joy?
Oh, going to amusement parks and haunted houses and just having a real good time with friends.
Mm-hmm. What else brings you joy?
Being around nature and being
Mm-hmm.
around my cat.
Mm-hmm. Your pet?
Yes, my
Mm-hmm.
two cats.
Mm-hmm. What else brings you joy?
Not being stressed out, just being
Well, what does it feel when you're not stressed out?
happy, serene,
Mm-hmm.
feelings of joy and
Mm-hmm.
euphoria.
Mm-hmm. And what's really fun for you?
Walking in nature
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
being with good friends.
Mm-hmm. So you know what brings you joy. You know what's fun for you. Our prescription to you is to do the things that bring you joy and do the things that are fun for you, and really consciously, intentionally allow yourself, every single one of your physical senses, to consciously recognize that you're experiencing joy and you're doing what's fun. Get every one of your senses involved in being totally satiated by the experience of joy here and now. When you're petting your cats, what you see, what you hear, what you taste, what you touch, what you smell, what you're thinking, let every single one of those senses be totally focused on experiencing the joy of petting your beloved cats. And be so present and in that moment that you really feel it in every cell of your body. This is how you intended to create. When you focused yourself into the physical form and came into this human experience, that is how you intended to create. To experience things consciously, intentionally, with every single one of your senses, which is why you moved yourself into physical form, which is why you focused yourself in physical form, so you could experience the density of the cat really being here and satiating all of your senses. And that understand this, in higher levels of consciousness, in formless, which is often why you go there but get distracted and allow your imagination for a little bit and then go elsewhere. Because in higher levels of consciousness where reality is formless, it's much more fluid. You create and you recreate and you recreate, and it's much more fluid, it's much more translucent. You love the idea of creation being in form so that you can see it and taste it and touch it and smell it and kiss it and love it and hold it and think about it and write letters to it, write letters about it and watch movies and all these fun, joyful, playful, exciting things that you do. The best thing you could do right now is focus on feeling joy and having fun as often as possible. And when you catch yourself going into fear or going into lack, that you consciously choose to focus on joy and to be totally satiated in the moment. And you will heal your body faster than you can imagine, because the disharmony was created in the emotional layer and then reflected back to you in the physical layer. You get to recreate an emotional layer every moment, anytime you want, and your body will respond to you. Because your body really is seeking to heal itself every moment of every day till you take your very last breath. Your body is always seeking to regenerate and rejuvenate every cell in alignment to your highest well-being. You understand?
I do, and thank you for that.
You can do this. You can do this. We love you. We are always available to you. But you will feel supported by Source and your guides and all that is here for you much more harmoniously and easily when you're in joy. Because joy is a vibration, it's a frequency, it's a high one. We are in a higher rate of frequency, which is why you can't see us with your physical senses, which is why we communicate to you this way. We're still here, we're always here. Your loved ones that have made their transition, whether they were animals or people or anything, energy can never be created nor destroyed. It just simply changes form. And when you leave the physical body and you move into non-physical, you don't go anywhere. You're just in such a high rate of vibration that it cannot be perceived by your physical human senses, but there's still realities and many levels of consciousness that are available to you. However, becoming really present and grounded and totally satiated within your human experience is what will open up those multiple dimensions of higher consciousness to you. And in that, you will know that your well-being and abundance is assured. And you will feel a whole lot better. You understand?
I do.
Good. May love you, our friend. Thank you for your question.
I love you. Thank you.
Indeed. Sarah Elizabeth, our next question.
Maddie has submitted a beautiful question for us, Council. She wants to know about impeccable creation, creating without an agenda. How do we get or create what we want if we are not supposed to have an agenda?
So your agendas are coming from lack and limitation. True creation does not have an agenda. An agenda would be like this. I don't have the money I need. I need to figure out how to make money because I'm in lack. And if I have the money, I'll be out of lack. So then you move into limitation because you're in the vibration of lack and limitation. You are in a very limited experience. And so then you try to logically figure out how to push and force energy where you think it should go in order to get money to alleviate this feeling of lack, which is just going to lead you into greater feelings of lack. You might feel a little better for a moment, but whatever the energy was by which you created it is going to be the energy that is prevalent in the experience of what you have created. You get more of what you are, period. You get more of what you are being. So the reason we say having an agenda, if you are judging your body as too old, too fat, that you're doing all these things wrong, and you go into judgment and your agenda is to lose weight because the weight that you have is wrong, you're in judgment of yourself. And this is why so many lose weight and gain it back and lose weight and gain it back, because it's always coming from lack and limitation. The agenda that I have to lose this weight, I have to get skinnier because I don't like my body the way it is a very difficult way to create well-being. The same is true with when you want a lover. I don't want to be alone. I have all this love to give and I don't have anyone to share it with. So I need to create a one person to give all my love to, and that one person will love me, and then I won't feel so alone. That agenda, when it comes from lack and limitation, is really limiting what's possible for you. So when you don't have an agenda and you get into the energy of what it is that you want to create, why do you want to create a healthy body? To feel energetic, to feel alive, to live your life fully. When you get into that energy of really feeling alive and energetic, and you go into your heart and you really feel what it feels like to have energy flowing through your body and being alive, every cell of your body begins to respond to you and recreate, regenerate, rejuvenate your cells in a frequency that aligns with that energy, that enthusiasm, that feeling of aliveness. That's true creation. But you get to feel the instant creation of what it is that you want, because it's all within you, and it always has been, and it's always been available to you. The same is true with money or abundance. When you're sitting there looking at your checking account, what you don't have, and you are in lack, what is it that you want to feel? Abundant, supported, in the flow of give and receive. Feel into that abundance. Go outside in nature and start counting the leaves on the tree as if they were dollars that are hanging there for you, for whatever you need, when you need it. It's all here for you. Every leaf on every tree is a reflection of how abundant you are. And get really into it and start feeling how abundant you are. You begin to open up and allow. You get into the energy of what you want more of. And then you begin to start perceiving more abundance. The way you're perceiving, your perception of anything is what's creating your reality. When you have an agenda, you're perceiving the lack of something. You're perceiving that you need something you don't have. You're perceiving yourself as separate from whatever it is. That's not true creation, and it will always slow you down. It will always limit your potential. It will always limit source and source's ability to deliver to you beyond your wildest dreams anything and everything that is in alignment to you, because those particles of infinite creation are always responding to you, who you are being, what you are being, the way that you feel. So then you don't ever experience a lack or a delay or a separation of what you want more of. When you get beyond the agenda and you realize what it is that you really want to feel is available to you now, then you get in alignment to that. You come into the I am creator frequency and you align with what it is that you want to feel here and now. Not only do you feel it here and now, the particles of infinite creation begin responding to you and drawing more of that into your experience, because you're a force field of consciousness. Reality's moving through you, because your perception is what is drawing that reality to you, how you're perceiving anything. So good, so good. Good question. We love you, our friend Maddie.
We're going now to Patrice.
Patrice? Hello, our friend.
Patrice, you may need to unmute with a pop-up. It looks like we've lost Patrice. We'll go to Oscar.
Hello, our friend Oscar.
Hello, can you hear me, Council?
Indeed, we can.
Thank you, Council. As always, it's a pleasure to listen to your love-like communication. A very simple, a question that might take a little bit longer to explain, but as you mentioned, we are eternal spirits having a human experience. I was trying to understand the rationale in regards to reincarnation, because if we happen to be eternal, we were always in the past or in the future. There is no time frame. So what is really reincarnation? And if we happen to be always present in different time frames, what is the purpose of?
So time is not linear like you experience it. Understand that at one point in your evolutionary expansion, many of you recognized reincarnation as something that made sense to you. You knew you were more than just this human, and you had awareness beyond just your own human experience that could only be explained as a past life because of the level of consciousness and awareness that you were in, as well as the level of consciousness and awareness that the collective human consciousness was in at that time. Now you're ready to really come into a higher level of awareness of what's really going on here and who you really are. All lives are happening now. Everything is happening now in a different level of consciousness, in a understanding that time and space are not really linear like you think of it. In the years to come, scientists will even come to prove this. They will come to prove and understand that space isn't out there and that time is not linear. And when you come into a higher level of consciousness, you understand yourself as a multidimensional being. But here's the important part. When you fully step into the consciousness and realization of all that you are in this life, it begins to awaken every aspect of you in every dimension of consciousness that you are also in. You are most focused in this human experience as you, the person you know as Oscar, and that's where you focus most of the time. Not only can you tap into all that is available to you, you begin to access your multidimensional abilities to experience them more fully in this human experience that you're having now. So for many of you, experiences of past lives helped you move through the fourth dimension of consciousness where you understood you weren't really your circumstances and conditions. You began to move into transformation. You began to know yourself as more. And the only way you could experience that as more part was these past life experiences that you had, but because that's all you could understand within human consciousness based on the vibration of the planet at that time. You yourself are in a much higher vibration. You have much higher energies coming in. You have new earth energies here on the planet and more coming in. And human consciousness is being elevated all the time, where you begin to come into even greater levels of remembering the multidimensional being that you are. And that there are multiple aspects of you. And as you fully realize who you are in this life, you begin to access the gifts, abilities, and skills and resources that are available to you from all the different dimensions of consciousness that you are existing within. That should be really exciting for you. That's worth getting really excited about. That's why realization is so important right now, because you're going to begin to open up to your abilities, the skills, the resources, the talents that you have that have been latent and dormant because of the lower levels of density you are in. You understand? Our friend?
Oh. Yeah, thank you, Council.
Did we answer your question?
Absolutely, yeah. It's just understanding that dimension is just growing in the present now, just to becoming the master that we are.
So don't try to logically perceive it. Feel what we said. Listen again to what we said. Listen to the replay again and again, and listen again, and keep listening to it. You maybe even write it down. Don't try to logically figure it out. Just feel into the truth of it. The truth of it should expand you. The expansion of your consciousness and awareness is what will begin to open up that multidimensional nature to you. Think of the multi-dimensions within nature that you're witnessing all the time around you. And this is why nature is so important. This is why aligning your true nature with nature is so important, because you are witnessing multiple different dimensions within the human experience. You've got what's on the earth, you've got what the ecosystems beneath the earth, you've got the ecosystems above the earth. You're witnessing multiple different dimensions of consciousness within human experience in nature all the time. Why wouldn't you also be multidimensional in nature? You are the universe, and the universe is within you. You are the center of your universe. And as you come into the heart of creation, you begin to open yourself up to all that is available to you. So really good question. Our friend, Sarah Elizabeth, we love you, our friend Oscar.
We're going now to Judith.
Hi.
Hello, our friend.
I'm so glad to talk to you. My goodness, where do I even begin? I am in a place in my life where I am really enjoying the expansion in a way that I never have before. And I am so allowing and running with it and playing with it. And I still bump into the parts of myself that do want to know that it's all going to work out. I'm working on a project that is my heart's calling with my partner. And it requires us to move beyond anything I've ever imagined that I would move into. And I love the expansion of it. I love the joy of it. It is so much fun to play in. And then I run into sort of old, well, how is this going to get paid for? $100 million is a lot of money. You don't have that in front of you. And then it's like, let it go, let it go, let it go. Is there something when I'm in that moment where I find myself feeling overwhelmed or where I stop that joyful flow that I can gently, easily, playfully just let it go and not feel badly that I moved into an old behavior?
Yeah, so don't judge yourself. It really doesn't serve. And we say that the thing that you all do to hold yourself in limitation is your judgment of yourself most often. Judgment of yourself, judgment of any other, judgment of circumstances and conditions. Your judgment of it is what entangles you with limitation. Your own limitation or someone else's limitation or someone else's lack or some circumstances that are limited. Judgment always entangles you with limitation. So don't judge yourself. This is why we say, consciously notice when you're unconsciously holding yourself in realization. That's all. You noticed. You noticed. That's the most important piece. You noticed and you stopped and you did something different. You chose something different. You chose to not entangle with lack and limitation. You chose to not hold yourself in lack. You chose to not try to manipulate and force and push it and create an agenda and make it really difficult and limit source. All we want you to do is consciously notice, consciously realize when you're unconsciously holding yourself in limitation. And then go do something that feels good. Do something that brings you joy. Focus on feeling good. What is it that you want to experience right now? Go do that. The reason for your question is because even thinking, deciding, trying to figure out your limiting source by even thinking, I have to have a certain amount of money to have this thing happen. That's a really old energy way of trying to manifest or do things in a very limited way.
Yeah.
You're limiting source. You're limiting your potential. You're limiting what this is all really about. What do you need to figure out? You're already playing and having a great time and in love with what you're doing and energized and expanding. It's already working out. When that becomes the choice you make, when that becomes the experience you're having, it just continues to get better and work out even more. When the reality you're choosing is it's all working out. It's all working out perfectly and I'm enjoying every step of the way and I'm playing and I'm creating and having fun and I'm totally satiated by this experience, which means it's all working out.
I love that.
Yeah.
And that feels so good. And I guess it's just take the next step and then the next step and the next step and not
let
need
the
to
next
know.
let the next perfect step come to you.
Yeah.
And so when you really understand, you could hear us say this and hear us say this and hear us say this, but when you have an experience of it, you'll really get it.
Mm-hmm.
Open up and allow energy to serve you, allow energy to light the way, allow the energy and the light to guide the way for you. Follow the energy and let the light guide the way. When you go to do something and it doesn't feel good and you do it anyway and you push it to get it done because you've created a limited belief that it has to get done now because you've created a lack of time and a limited experience of time, then you're trying to push and force and manipulate energy where you think it should go, all based on lack and limitation.
Right.
Versus what's in the flow? What feels good? What am I excited about? What experience do I want to have today? And go do those things. You might come back to that same thing and all of a sudden it's easy and effortless and it just gets done before you even really have to think about it because you're following energy and letting light guide the way. And if all of you, especially you, would just stop and turn around and look at how far you have come, you would never try to figure out anything ever again.
Yeah.
You've almost all completely surpassed what it is you ever thought possible in this lifetime.
That is true.
So come into your realization. Really allow your realization of all that you are. And then the rest of this experience is to fully come into realization of the master that you are of your human experience, and then live like one. How would a master live his or her life? Play, create, have fun, do the things that bring you joy, create the experiences that you want to have for you, create the realities that you want to experience, be totally satiated, celebrate, laugh, have fun. Know that in living in your richness and your fullness, that there's just more, that you're just seeding human consciousness and human potential with more. You are opening up to all of your potentials and possibilities and seeding human consciousness with greater potentials and possibilities. There. Now
Yeah.
you know, and you never have to try to figure anything out ever again because you know.
I'll take that as a permission slip.
Indeed. You never needed anyone's permission. All you needed to do was open up and allow all that has already been here for you all along, to serve you and support you and guide you every step of the way.
Thank you.
Indeed. We will end with that wonderful question. We have enjoyed this conversation with you all so very much. You are everything you wish to be. You don't need permission to be all that you are. It's all within you and it always has been. You don't need permission to access everything and all that is within you. You are one with everything and all is of source and you are of source. Come into the oneness of all that you are. You never needed anyone's permission. It's all here for you. You don't need anyone's permission to enjoy what is all here for you. You don't need anyone's permission to see the beauty that is all here for you and all around you. You don't need anyone's permission to allow all of your power that is here for you. But if you need it, here you go. Give yourself permission. Right here, right now. Choose. Choose to be who you are. To live your life fully. To love fully. And to be all that you are. Because you are everything you wish to be. You already are. It is all within you. It always has been. And so it is. We love you. We love you. We love you. And with that, we are complete.